Hello, welcome back. This is a special episode. I'm here in Bodh Gaya, partway through my Buddhist pilgrimage of the main 4 Buddhist sites. You might remember in an earlier episode we were in Lumbini, or at least you saw some of the footage of that. And then of course there was Sarnath. That's the 3rd of the 4 main Buddhist pilgrimage sites, and the 2nd is right here. As you can see, that's Mahabodhi, the temple that marks the spot where Buddha actually sat under the Bodhi tree and attained enlightenment, attained Nirvana. And afterward, he began teaching in Sarnath. So today, rather than waste this episode reading another half an hour of that silly Pali Scriptures textbook, I thought it would be more appropriate to read something that's closer to my heart. And there at the temple, we couldn't actually go inside the temple grounds because I'm filming with a phone, and unfortunately there's been a lot of terrorist activity and people use their phones to detonate the bombs. I don't know why those particular extremists are so threatened by Buddhism, but I have my theories, but I won't go into it. So that's sad. But here we are in the butterfly park right next to the Mahabodhi Temple, where there is a view of Mahabodhi Temple. And so I am going to be reading chapter 2 of Dogen's Shobogenzo, where he talks about the Heart of Great Wisdom Sutra, which in Japan they call Makahanya Haramita, or Haramitsu, which is an approximation, of course, of Mahaprajna Paramita. So I'll get right to it. So these are the words of Dogen. Ehe Dogen, after he had spent a few years at the Soto Chan Temple in China, and he came and started founding. I know I'm very dark in this, but I'm here. Can you see me? All right, anyway. So this was on the 21st day of the 3rd lunar month in spring of the 2nd year of Kangen. I'll translate that into our calendar and I'll put it here. That's when this was. And this was at Kanondori-in Temple on the day of a summer retreat in the 1st year of Tenpuku. The words of Dogen translated into English. When Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara practices the profound Prajna Paramita, the whole body reflects that the 5 aggregates are totally empty. The 5 aggregates are matter, feeling, thinking, and acting, and action. That's enaction with an E, not inaction. Okay, so enacting, action in other words, and consciousness. They are 5 instances of prajna. Reflection is prana, right? Prana or prajna, anyway, itself. When this principle is preached and realized, it is said that matter is just the immaterial. And again, when Dogen uses the word just, or when the translator uses the word just, I'm pretty sure that they're saying it's exactly that. Not saying it's just, that's just little Harry running around, pay no attention to him. No, he's saying it is just that. It is exactly that. So tune your ears to hear just that way. Anyway, it is said that matter is just the immaterial, and the immaterial is just matter. Matter is matter. The immaterial is the immaterial. They are hundreds of things and myriad phenomena. 12 instances of Prajna Paramita are the 12 entrances, in parentheses, of sense perception, end parentheses. There are also 18 instances of prana. They are the eyes, nose, ears, tongue, body, and mind. Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, sensations, and properties, plus the consciousnesses of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. There are a further 4 instances of prana. They are suffering, accumulation, cessation, and the way. There are further 6 instances of prana. They are giving, pure observance of precepts. It says pure precepts, and then in parentheses someone wrote observance of. So there you go. Patience, diligence, meditation, and prana itself. One further instance of prana paramita, which is perfect wisdom, is realized as the present moment. It is the state of anuttara samyak sambodhi, which is the supreme right balanced state of bodhi, the supreme balanced right state of truth, basically. Unsurpassed perfect enlightenment is another translation I've heard. There are 3 further instances of prana paramita. They are past, present, and future. There are 6 further instances of prana. They are earth, water, fire, wind, space, and consciousness. There are further 4 instances of prana that are constantly practiced in everyday life. They are walking, standing, sitting, and lying down. There's also honking, as you can hear, but they didn't have that back in Dogen state. So anyway, in the order of Sakyamuni Tathagata, there is a bhikkhu who secretly thinks, okay, now, quote, the secret thinking, the secret thoughts are going to go on for a while, so don't forget this is all in quotes. I'll start over. In the order of the Sakyamuni Tathagata, there is a bhikkhu who secretly thinks, quote, I shall bow in veneration of the profound prana paramita, although in this state there is no appearance and disappearance of real dharmas. There are still understandable explanations of all precepts, all balanced states, all kinds of wisdom, all kinds of liberation, and all views. There are also understandable explanations of the effect of one who has entered the stream, the effect of, parentheses, being subject to, and parentheses, one return, the effect of, parentheses, not being subject to, and parentheses, returning, the effect of arhat. You remember arhat, right? Okay. There are also understandable explanations of people of independent awakening and people of Bodhi. There are also understandable explanations. Remember, this is all in quotes. This is all the secret thoughts of that one bhikkhu, right? Okay. There are also understandable explanations of the supreme right and balanced state of Bodhi. There are also understandable explanations of the treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. There are also understandable explanations of the turning of the wonderful Dharma wheel to save sentient beings. End parentheses. So all of that was the secret thoughts, okay? Moving forward. The Buddha, knowing the bhikkhu's mind, tells him, the Buddha now, quote, this is how it is. This is how it is. The profound prana paramita is too subtle and fine to fathom. End quote. Okay, now let's break that down. The bhikkhu's secretly working concrete mind at this moment is in the state of bowing in veneration of real dharmas, prana itself. Whether or not real dharmas are without appearance and disappearance, and this is a venerative bow itself. Just at this moment of bowing in veneration, prana is realized as explanations which can be understood, explanations from precepts, balance, and wisdom, to saving sentient beings, and so on. The state is described as being without. Explanations of the state of being without can thus be understood. Such is the profound, subtle, unfathomable pranya paramita. The god Indra asks the venerable monk Subhuti, "Virtuous one, when bodhisattva mahasattvas want to research the profound pranya paramita, how should they research it?" Subhuti replies, "Kausika, when bodhisattva mahasattvas want to research the profound pranya paramita, they should research it as space." So, researching prana is space itself. Space is the research of pranya. The god Indra subsequently addresses the Buddha, "World-honored one, when good sons and good daughters receive and retain, read and recite, think reasonably about, and expound to others this profound pranya paramita that you have preached, how should I guard it? My only desire, world-honored one, is that you will show me compassion and teach me." Then the venerable monk Subhuti says to the god Indra, "Kausika, do you see something which you must guard, or not?" The god Indra says, "No, virtuous one, I do not see anything here that I must guard." Subhuti says, "Kausika, when good sons and good daughters abide in the profound pranya paramita as thus preached, they are just guarding it. When good sons and good daughters abide in the profound pranya paramita as thus preached, they never stray. Remember, even if all human and non-human beings were looking for an opportunity to harm them, in the end it would be impossible. Kausika, if you want to guard the bodhisattvas who abide in the profound paramita as thus preached, it is no different from wanting to guard space. Remember, to receive and retain, to read and recite, and to think reasonably about pranya are just to guard pranya. And to want to guard is to receive and retain it, to read and recite it, and so on. My late master, the eternal Buddha, says, "Whole body like a mouth hanging in space, not asking if the wind is east, west, south, or north. For all others equally, it chatters pranya. Chin ten ton, rian chin ten ton." That's a reference to a poem. That's an automatopoeia. It's the sound of wind chimes. This is the chattering of pranya, transmitted by Buddhist patriarchs from rightful successor to rightful successor. It is the pranya as the whole body. It is pranya as the whole of others. It is pranya as the whole self. And it is pranya as the whole east, west, south, and north. Am I saying pranya correctly? Prana. Sorry, everybody. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Okay. He says hanya haramita in Japanese, so I'm mixing it up. Prana, the life force. Sort of akin to chi or ruach for you Hebrew folks. Shakyamuni Buddha says, "Shariputra, these many sentient beings should abide in this pranya paramita as Buddhas. When they serve offerings to, bow in veneration of, and consider the prana paramita." There we go. They should be as if serving offerings to and bowing in veneration of Buddha Bhagavats. Why? Because the prana paramita is no different from the Buddha Bhagavats, and the Buddha Bhagavats are no different from the prana paramita. The prana paramita is just the Buddha Bhagavats themselves. And the Buddha Bhagavats are just the prana paramita itself. Wherefore? Because, Shariputra, the apt, right, and balanced state of truth which all Tathagatas have, is always realized by virtue of the Pranaparamita. Because, Shariputra, all Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, the independently awakened, Arhats, those beyond returning, those who will return once, those received into the stream, and so on, always attain realization by virtue of the Pranaparamita. And because, Shariputra, all of the 10 virtuous paths of action in the world, the 4 states of meditation, the 4 immaterial balanced states, and the 5 mystical powers are always realized by virtue of the Pranaparamita. End quote. That was Shakyamuni Buddha speaking to Shariputra from Dogen's memory, presumably in the longer Heart Sutra. So, this is Dogen talking again. So, Buddha Bhagavats are the Pranaparamita, and the Pranaparamita is these real dharmas. These real dharmas are bare manifestations, B-A-R-E, manifestations. They are neither appearing nor disappearing, neither dirty nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. The realization of this Pranaparamita is the realization of Buddha Bhagavats. We should inquire into it, and we should experience it. To serve offerings to it, and to bow in veneration is just to serve and to attend Buddha Bhagavats. And it is Buddha Bhagavats in service and attendance. Shobogenzu Maka Hanya Haramitsu. Now, one of the very few chants that Zen Buddhists in Japan, or Japanese Zen Buddhists around the world, will chant. Of course, there's the Fukan Zazengi, which is the page and a half that Dogen wrote and delivered to introduce Zen, to introduce Chan to Japan, in which you've heard me talk about it before. The other of the very few, I don't know if it's the only other one, but there are very few. They're not that into chanting in Zen. But one thing they do chant is Hanya Haramita, or the Pranya Paramita, which is the Heart Sutra. When they translated it, it was the 7th century, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Bodhisattva was involved in the translation of it, but it might have been before he came. Comment below if you know more about that, if you're on YouTube. Anyway, some of the words were transliterated directly from Sanskrit, some from Pali, and some were the Japanese translation of the Chinese words that they used in the Chinese version of the translation. All of the Japanese parts are medieval Japanese, like early medieval, what we would call early medieval in the West. So 700s, 800s. In other words, if you said these words to a Japanese person today, they would have no idea what you're talking about. And indeed, anybody who hasn't thoroughly studied the Hanya Haramita will have no idea what you're talking about. But this is how Dogen would have chanted the shorter version of the Hanya Haramita. So, feel free to join me if you know it. Setsumaka Hanya Haramita Shinyo Konji Zaibo Zagyo Jin Hanya Haramita Jisho Kengo Unkai Kudo Isai Ku Yakushari Shiki Fui Kuku Hui Shiki Sokuze Ku Sokuze Shiki Dru Sogyo Shiki Yakubu Nyoze Shari Shize Shohu Ko Su Hu Sho Hu Metsu Hu Ku Hu Jo Hu Zo Hu Gen Zeko Ku Chu Mu Shiki Mu Ju Su So Gyo Shiki Mu Gen Ni Mi Bi Ze Shin I Mu Shiki Shoku Mi Soku Ho Mu Gen Kai Nai Shi Mu I Shiki Kai Mu Myo Yaku Mu Myo Jin Nai Shi Mu Roshi Yaku Mu Roshi Jin Mu Ku Shu Metsu Mu Shi Yaku Mu Toku I Mu Shoku To Kobodai satae hanya haramita koshin mukege mu ukufu onri isai tendo muso kugyo nehan sanze shobutsoe hanya haramita kotoku wa nokutara sanyaku sanbodai Kochi hanya haramita zedai jinshu zedai myoshu zemu joshu zemu todoshu nojo isai kushin jitsu fuko kosetsu hanya haramita shu sokusetsu watsu gyate harasho gyate boji sawaka hanya shingyo. Thank you all for going on this ride with me. Until next time. Oh, I forgot. We'll close with the prayer that my father taught me when I was very young. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Blessings to you from Bodh Gaya, India. Until next time. This is Edward speaking to you from a few hours later, and I rented a camera so that I could film some of the inside of Mahabodhi. This is the Heart Sutra, the 8,000 line sutra in the original Sanskrit. Of course, the one that you just heard me recite is, shorter. Here we have the Tibetan prayer wheels. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Here we have the Mahabodhi Temple, and there you can see is the old Bodhi Tree. Probably not the same one, but the tradition goes that people honor it as the Bodhi Tree that Buddha sat under. There's a statue inside the temple who's positioned in such a way that he is sitting under the Bodhi Tree. We'll see how close they can let me get with this camera to that.
Rupana prutak shunyata shunyatayana prutak rupam yad rupam sa shunyata ya shunyata tad rupam Evameva vedana samjñā samskara vijñānāni iha shariputra sarvadharmas shunyata lakshana anupanna Aniruddha Amala Vimala Nona Naparipurna Tasmat Chariputra Shunyataya Narupam Navedana Samjnana samskara na chakshusrotra grana juhva kayo manamsi na rupa shabda gandha rasa sprashtavya dharma na chakshur dhaturyavam namanu vijnana dhatu na vidyana vidya kshayo na vidya kshayo yavanna jara maranam na jara marana kshayo na dukkha samudaya nirodha marga na jnanam na praptihi tasmat apraptitvad bodhisattvan prajñā paramita mashitya viharatya citta